Hello, my beautiful souls, and welcome to the new episode of the Soulful Contributors podcast. Yes, you heard this right. I have changed the name of this podcast, I have changed the name of my brand, and in this episode, I'm actually going to talk about why this happened, how it happened, and what does it mean for the future. So basically, how it happened. I would say that for the past 2 months, you probably also noticed that I wasn't really uploading any new podcasts, and there was just something that felt off. I didn't really know what it is, I wasn't able to point it out, but for some reason, there was something about my business that felt off. And it's interesting because anytime this happens, anytime there's something that doesn't feel aligned, our brain just starts making up stories of, like, oh, maybe this is not right, maybe I'm doing something wrong, maybe I should do something else. And like, for some reason, things that I absolutely love and adore, and I've been like 100% sure that I'll be doing them for the rest of my life, they just felt not so good as usually. And it really filled me up with concern because I was 100% sure that this is how I imagine my life, this is how I imagine my business, and I wasn't really sure what is not working for me. And whenever this happens, I feel like we should just allow ourselves time. I feel like the mistake that we usually do when things are not feeling as good as usually is that we try to fix it immediately. We try to push it, we try to figure it out, like we go into this, we try to come up with a solution with our beta brainwaves, which are basically designed to just help us survive and help us avoid the pain and avoid the fear. And whenever we try to fix our problems from that state, from this mental chatter, it's not working and we just get more and more frustrated. So what's always working for me is to just allow it to be and just ask better questions. So lately I've been asking myself lots of questions of what do I really want to do in life? How do I really imagine this going? And what would feel more aligned than this right now? So I wasn't sure what doesn't feel aligned, but I was able to come up with the vision and scenarios that I was assuming will feel like more aligned. So yeah, and I also allow myself space, and I wasn't really, trying to push the episodes out. I wasn't really working towards creating, let's say, basically, it's basically lying because I was still creating a lot of stuff and I still created a new course, and I was kind of doing it still the same way that I used to. But anyway, something felt off. So in my previous vacation, where me and my boyfriend, we went to Croatia. It was actually like a pretty short vacation. We basically went there to just have a couple of days off and then to also do the Wim Hof method seminar there. And there's something about going to Croatia in September that it just purifies your heart, purifies your body, because usually during the summer it's a very crowded place, but during the September there is like almost zero tourists. It's very peaceful, very quiet. Nature is stunning. The sea is amazing. It's still warm, so you get to experience everything except that it's way more peaceful than usually. So that peace and basically being surrounded with nature just helped me connect with myself more. I was away from social media, and we had this conversation with my boyfriend where we were basically masterminding on our brands, on our business, and how we imagine things going. And I was telling my concerns, how I feel like some things are not working as I wanted to, and some things are not feeling as aligned as I would want them to feel. And at one point, there was, Joey came up with a sentence of like, have you ever considered that maybe the name is not aligned with what you're trying to say anymore? And my first reaction was, of course, no, never. Like, I love this name, I came up with this name, and I'm still standing behind everything that I'm teaching. I really believe that divine selfishness is what it's needed. And then we just had like the whole conversation about it. And what I was realizing is that, yes, I do stand behind divine selfishness, and I do believe that, we should take care of ourselves first and connect with our hearts, connect with our soul. However, if we look at let's say, the common sense, or let's say the common perception around the word selfish or selfishness, it doesn't mean connecting with your heart. It doesn't mean connecting with your soul. It's usually doing something against others. That's how people see it, like doing something that is, that's gonna hurt others. Or I was always saying that the definition of selfishness is just lack of consideration for others, which I don't necessarily think that it's a bad thing, especially if you feel like something is really good for you and something is really aligned for you. You don't need to consider anyone else. You just have to do it. And I still deeply stand behind it. But what what this whole conversation made me think is what is actually the first idea of the first impression of the name for people that don't know me and that they haven't been in touch with my teachings. And I just started questioning myself, is this name serving me, or is it actually creating the barrier between the people that I want to reach to and my actual work? So I just decided to let go of the concerns. I just asked myself a bunch of questions, and I even said to myself, like, I'm not gonna change the name in a way that, I'll have to study, or I'll have to use my beta brainwaves and just think about the possible names that I could use and brainstorm it and like put all the names down and see what works best. I was like, this is not the way I want to change the name. And I was like, if I have to change the name of my brand, I set the intention that the name will come effortless and without me struggling, trying to come up with it, trying to figure it out. And if it comes naturally and effortless, I will consider changing it. If nothing shows up, if nothing comes, I will just leave it as it is. And then basically a couple of days went by, and I had it like in the back of my head, but I wasn't actively thinking about the name. I wasn't actively thinking about how it will look like if I change the name. And the first thing that, like, now that I'm looking back, I feel like we usually have a lot of attachments to our ideas, to our, let's say, creations. And I realized that my first reaction when Joey asked me what do I think about the name and if it's maybe not serving me, of course my first reaction was defense. So I wanted to defend my idea. I wanted to defend my creation, because at the end of the day, Selfish Contributors, the whole brand, is my creation, and it's like a big part. I mean, it is still a part of my identity. It's kind of like when you create something, it's you become identified with it, even though that's a totally ego identification. And as soon as I realized, like, oh yeah, it's like there is a certain identification that I have with this brand, and like when I think about it and when I meditated on it, I was like, yeah, it doesn't really matter. It's like the brand is not me. And even though people might already, like, some people, I know this, for some people it was really resonating, the name and everything, and I was even feeling like, oh, maybe I'll disappoint some people that were like so excited about it. And the funny thing is that the more I sat with the whole idea of changing it, the more I felt like, okay, I was like, whatever's gonna happen and whatever's meant to happen, well, it will happen anyway. Why? I mean, in the end of the day, it's just the name. It's like, it's nothing. I mean, it's really nothing of importance. It's just a name that will help me reach people that I actually want to reach. So after, I think it was like 3-4 days after the idea came, I remember I was about to go to sleep, and Joey was still working on some things on his computer, and I was so tired. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna fall asleep, and I just lay down. And you know, when you're trying to fall asleep, and that's when your brain started to slow down. And if you know the process of the brain waves, that's when your brain waves go from beta brain waves, which is like an active state in which we are talking right now. It goes into alpha, which is like a more meditative brain wave, and then the theta or theta brain waves, which is actually like the last basically brainwave that we experience in almost awake state. So it's like really like that last 5-10 minutes before we fall asleep. And I was really like, in my perception, I was like already sleeping, but all of a sudden I just woke up and I was like, Joey, what about Soulful Contributors? And he was like, oh yeah, I love that. I was like, okay, I love it too. Good night. And I went back to sleep, and there was just like that excitement and that, like, you know, just that feeling within that you just feel like, wow, that's so good. Like, I just love it. It resonates so much. And the funniest thing is that I feel that all the time, even when I was having this brand as the Selfish Contributors, all the time my focus was soul. I wanted people to be so selfish that they start connecting with their soul. So basically the selfish that I wanted to put out there was, I encourage all of you to stop searching answers out there, to stop listening to all the other people and start listening to your soul. That was my purpose of the selfish before the contributors. And maybe because of the different idea of what the word actually means, people were not seeing it that way. And with the new name, Soulful Contributors, I feel like I'm directly telling what do I want to share with people, what is the purpose of the brand. And with the other word, contributors, which still resonates a lot, I'm just trying to tell people that my main focus are change makers, the people that are actively contributing to the society to create a better world. And my whole idea of the brand and the online school and everything that I want to share with you have always been that I want to help you connect with the depths of your soul so that you can actually contribute in a very authentic way, the way that speaks to your soul, and that you care less about what other people think and about the society rules and about everything that is out there. And I really feel that new name will help me and will support me in that mission much better than the previous one. And it's probably also gonna attract different kind of people, because as soon as you hear the word soulful, I do believe that it calls to people that care about their soul, that care about connecting with their heart, that care about spirituality and peace and happiness and joy. And those are actually the people that I want to serve. So I'm very satisfied with the way things went. I'm super excited for whatever this brings. And also, there's always an excitement about the changes, especially because like when it comes to the names, I feel like every single name has a certain energy, and especially after a while, it becomes like, there's a certain energy attached to the name. So with the transition of changing the name, also the energy of the brand will change immediately. And there's also one idea that I had that I feel like explains a lot about the way I was approaching this whole change. Is I feel like when I started the Selfish Contributors, a lot came from the energy of being rebellious, just really trying to go away from the masses and trying to force like a idea of like, you have to go away from the masses and society and just basically, just distance yourself from everyone else. And I feel like my approach is similar to approach of beginners when it comes to martial arts. Or now I'm going to talk specifically when it comes to jiu-jitsu, because that's the martial art that I know. But in general, it's like, as a beginner in the martial arts, you just want to fight, you want to defend, you want to like use all your strength to like take the opponent down. And if you are fighting with someone that is advanced, they will use your strength, your fighting, your force, and transform it into the move that they want to do. So this is a master that is like happening, like when you're evolving in like jiu-jitsu or any other martial arts, is you start playing with other people's force. And I feel like with the Selfish Contributors, it was me fighting, me defending, me being like, people, you have to be selfish, you have to do this, you just take care of yourself, say fuck you to a whole world. And then now I feel like I'm in a stage of being more advanced when it comes to helping people. And I start realizing that maybe I should go with whatever is, with whatever people are fighting, whatever people are putting the force into it, and just slowly move it into the direction that I want. And I really feel that this name will help me do this more. So instead of defending, instead of like trying to convince everyone that you have to connect with yourself, I am now using the force from others and actually targeting people that are already with this realization within, so that they already know that it's time to connect with themselves, that it's time to connect with their soul. So I feel like that's gonna be much easier from now on, and no more defending, no more basically fighting. And in the end of the day, the whole principles of my teachings remain the same. I will still mention the importance of being divinely selfish. I'll still focus on the same things, on connecting to yourself, putting your happiness first, taking responsibility for yourself. So in general, not much is changing except the first visual idea of the brand. So that's basically it. I think I sum it up well, and thank you so much for listening to my heart and everything that I needed to share regarding the change of the name. I'm very grateful that you are here, that you are still listening, that you decided to take this time and spend it with me. And I'm inviting you to subscribe to my podcast if you haven't yet. If you haven't signed into my online school, you can also do that. It's with the new link, soulfulcontributors.com. You just sign in, you get the weekly newsletters, you get so many awesome free stuff, and you'll be first to know when the new podcast is launching. Thank you so much for everyone listening, and I hope you have a wonderful day, a wonderful time, and talk to you soon. Ciao, ciao.